The story starts with a girl named Sophia, who happens to be a shark researcher. She traveled to the Pacific Ocean to meet up with her friends and track down a shark called Lilith. Sophia and her crew had been on Lilith's trail for quite a while, eagerly waiting for the moment she would reappear on their radar so they could collect a sample for research. Then, out of nowhere, their radars started picking up signals indicating that Lilith was in the vicinity. Sophia, along with her husband and 2 other team members, dove into the ocean to search for her. Instead of finding Lilith, they stumbled upon a massive baby whale, but it was a grim sight. Half of its body was missing, and it was dead. The team was left wondering who could have done this when they suddenly spotted blood in the water. To their horror, it was Lilith, now right in front of them. They were terrified because just 2 months ago, Lilith measured only 2.5 meters, and now she had ballooned to nearly 7 meters. It was a shocking transformation. At this point, they should have prioritized their safety, but Sophia's husband made a critical error. Even with danger looming, he insisted on taking a sample from Lilith. In a reckless move, they stabbed her to collect the sample. What followed was chaos. Lilith went berserk and attacked the team, tearing them apart. Sophia and her friend watched in horror from their boat, completely terrified. When things finally calmed down, Sophia took a leap into the ocean, hoping against hope that someone might still be alive. But all she found were the gruesome remains of her team, victims of Lilith's brutal attack. Blood was everywhere. Just then, Lilith appeared before Sophia, a true monster in every sense. Without hesitation, she lunged at Sophia, pulling her into the depths of the ocean. Somehow, Sophia managed to escape with her life. Fast forward 3 years, and Sophia had left her shark research behind. Now, she worked as an aquarium guide, sharing her love for fish with excited kids who loved listening to her stories. Enter Micah, a passionate marine activist dedicated to ocean conservation. Micah was running a company called Saviors of Sea, committed to protecting marine life. When she met Sophia, she brought her to her headquarters and revealed that Lilith Shark, the one Sophia had studied years ago, was spotted making her way into a river in Paris. Micah wanted to collaborate with Sophia to investigate, but Sophia dismissed it, saying it wasn't unusual for sharks to travel due to weather changes, even if it was a bit strange for one to come from the Pacific Ocean to a river. So, Lilith isn't the only one. No shark can handle the fresh water of the river. That's why she'll head back before coming here. On top of that, Sophia has her own sad history that's keeping her from looking into sharks. So, she makes up some excuses and leaves. Meanwhile, we see 2 guys hanging out by the river. They find a couple of small missiles in the water. The police show up to collect them and explain that after World War II, small missiles and their casings have been discovered in this river, so there's nothing to worry about. Later that night, Micah arrives at the Seine River with a friend to check out a car accident. But really, she's here to see if Lilith has shown up. Micah's friend jumps into the river and spots some big shark marks. Just then, the police arrive to stop them, since investigating like this is against the law, and they end up catching Micah while her friend manages to slip away. Now, Sophia has tracked down Lilith and confirms she's at the Seine River. The next morning, the police pull a body from the river, the guy who died in the car accident the night before. Everyone is pretty freaked out by how the body looks. Half of his body was gone, and it was pretty obvious what had happened. It looked like some huge animal had taken a bite out of him. Sophia and Micah were with the bar officers by the river, and Sophia made it clear that this was all Lilith's doing. They needed to do something about the shark if they wanted to keep people safe. Micah, however, misunderstood the situation. She thought that to stop the shark from attacking, they had to kill it. She assumed the officers would team up with Sophia to take the shark down, so she started working to protect it instead, believing it was a marine hero. The next day, the officers and Sophia headed to Seine River with a plan to catch the shark. Sophia was helping them track, and everything seemed to be going smoothly until Micah caused chaos. With her hacker friend's help, she messed up Sophia's tracking signals, making it impossible for the officers to find the shark. This put them in serious danger. Luckily, Lilith changed her path, giving the officers a chance to escape unharmed. But now, a massive shark was lurking in the city's river, so the officers rushed to inform the mayor. She was anxious and insisted they had to find a way to stop the shark, especially since a big event was coming up at Seine River that couldn't be canceled. Meanwhile, Mika was busy making a video and sending it out to marine activists. She shares the story of the shark, explaining that the government wants to eliminate her and others like her. That's why it's crucial for us to step up and protect them. She questions why sharks don't eat humans, then reveals that tonight we need to head to the catacombs of Paris, which are basically tunnels running beneath the city. Micah then lays out her entire plan to her friends, but one of them spills the beans to the police. They discover that the shark is hiding in the Paris catacombs. As night falls, Micah arrives at the catacombs with the marine activists. Sophia and the officers show up too, having caught wind of Micah's scheme. Tensions rise as the officers and activists argue, and Micah jumps into the catacomb river to prove that sharks aren't a threat to humans. Suddenly, a shark appears. Not Lilith, but a whole group of sharks follows. It quickly becomes clear that these sharks are indeed dangerous. Micah is viciously attacked and meets a gruesome end, her body torn apart. The marine activists panic and scatter, realizing their plan to save marine life has completely failed. They come to the harsh truth that there are real threats out there that need to be dealt with. In the chaos, several activists fall into the river, witnessing the horrifying sight of sharks tearing into humans, blood everywhere. Once the situation was under control, the survivors were safely rescued. During this time, a shark was also caught and killed, which Sophia is now sharing details about. She discovered that this shark is a female, nearly 2 months old, and pregnant. Surprisingly, she has a bunch of baby sharks developing inside her. It turns out that this shark can give birth to many babies at once, and it happens pretty quickly at such a young age. This is concerning because their population could skyrocket in no time, and they can even thrive in fresh water. They learned this from their mother, Lynette, who adapted to living in fresh water despite the harsh conditions. People estimate that there could be thousands of these sharks lurking in the catacombs, so they decide to set off explosions to eliminate them. The next day, a swimming event is scheduled where everyone will swim in the river. The public wasn't informed about the potential shark threat, and the mayor refuses to cancel the event for her own interests. Instead, officers and trained Marines are deployed into the river to keep an eye on things. A large net is set up on one side of the river to catch any sharks that might come through. Meanwhile, Senior Officer Sophia and her team head to the catacombs to prepare for the explosion at the main site. Everyone is in their designated spots, with Sophia and the senior officer working together. It was pitch black in there. The moment the senior officer flicked on the flashlight, a shocking scene unfolded. Thousands of baby sharks swarmed around him, and it was terrifying. Even though they were just kids, they had enough strength to take down anyone, and their size was surprisingly intimidating. All the bombs were set in place, but just before one went off, a shark lunged at the officer. He managed to detonate the bomb, sustaining injuries in the process. But some of the baby sharks didn't make it. He was then pulled up to safety. Meanwhile, as Sophia made her way back to the river, Lilith crossed her path. She was devastated by the sight of her children's remains, consumed by rage. Unable to see Sophia through her fury, she tore through the net and headed to the spot where the swimming race had begun. There, Lilith brutally sliced a man in half, causing chaos all around. Soon after, a swarm of sharks appeared. These sharks had been safe from the explosions since they didn't live in the catacombs, and their numbers were overwhelming. They launched an attack on the swimmers, and in no time, the river was stained red with blood, with bodies floating everywhere. The main blunder here was that the officer decided to shoot the shark with a sniper. Some of the bullets got lodged in old missiles that had been sitting in the water since World War II. They were still active and hadn't been defused. So, when one missile went off, it triggered a chain reaction, causing a bunch of them to explode. As soon as that happened, it was like a tsunami hit, with massive explosions, sending river water everywhere at Masopsted, taking a huge chunk of Paris along with it. The destruction was immense. Only Sophia and the senior officer were left, watching the chaos unfold around them, surrounded by bodies and sharks swimming through the wreckage. It was said that these sharks were moving to nearby areas because of the tsunami, spreading out across the country. The scariest part? They could end up all over the globe, causing even more devastation. This posed a serious threat to humanity and the planet. It was a chilling conclusion, and that's how the story wraps up.